And we're live. What's going on, Ohio Cannabis Report family? Gerald Moore Jr. here with another Ohio Cannabis Report live. Today we have a special one. We have a guest that'll be joining us here momentarily, Joey Ellwood from App Girls Cannabis. He is also one of the leaders on No on SB 56, the referendum against Senate Bill 56 here in Ohio. Obviously, Senate Bill 56 is the anti-cannabis consumer, anti-small business, anti-entrepreneur bill that has been and law that has been passed in the state of Ohio by our governor and our state politicians. And so there is a referendum that has been allowed to be to gain signatures to get this put on the November ballot. And so we have a couple more weeks. March 20th is when SB 56 goes into law. And so we've been talking about this for quite some time now on our channel. And we've been waiting to have Joey on for a while. We did have a Danny on a couple weeks back to talk about SB 56. And obviously we're in the last home stretch of the signature collecting process. They have to get over, I believe, 200,000 signatures from 44 of the 88 counties in the state of Ohio. And so hopefully when Joey hops on, we'll be able to get some of that information. So I know he is currently at a signature collecting location. I don't know which one yet. And so we'll get that information as soon as he pops on. It was kind of a last minute ordeal. But we thank you guys for always showing love and support to the channel. Please make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share the content. Let us know if you appreciate the content. We always appreciate feedback from our community. Also, we want to thank all of our subscribers. I think we're up to about 300, almost 320 something subscribers. So again, we've built this from the ground up. We haven't even done any ads or anything like that. So we appreciate everybody that has supported us. Thanks to everybody that's following us on our other platforms as well: Facebook, Substack, Instagram, Threads. Again, we're trying to, disseminate this information as much as possible. We are not affiliated with the state. We don't get no state funds. We don't get no city funds for this work. And a lot of this work is, or a lot of the things that we're trying to do is more educational and informational. So again, we are, our cannabis industry is still fairly new, 6 years old. For medical, a year old for adult use. So obviously there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that have been going on in the Ohio cannabis industry. Obviously, we have a lot of people that have been on the legacy market, been underground for a long time. And so part of, what my goal has been is to kind of marry that, the legacy market with obviously this new legalized market. Obviously, you have people that are like, well, I got my own weed and I'll do my own thing. But the laws are changing, right? The home grow laws are changing. They cut the home grow plant count from 12 to 6, right? And a lot of people don't know that. Make sure you guys go check out our previous interview with Senator Bill DeMore. He also just did another interview with Anthony Riley over on Ohio Cannabis Live, which was a really good conversation as well. Also just adding some context to the new law that has been passed. And so it's important and it's imperative that folks stay involved and know what's going on. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world, right? But I think it's also important to understand what's going on in your local city, your local town, your local county, and obviously the state. I mean, the state is so important. The state facilitates a lot of money and resources that could benefit the greater community. And so what I've learned from just the last few years of doing the work that we've been doing, covering stuff at the State House, is that a lot of citizens don't really know what's going on at the State House, at the state level. There's not a lot of news around it. A lot of our local news, they may cover some of the big topics, but there's always something going on at the State House. And you can watch this stuff at the State House as well. The Ohio channel, you just type in Ohio channel, and they have a lot of content that comes on there where you can literally watch, our politicians, our senators, our state representatives, talk about these bills, right? And flesh out these bills. We had issue 2, and they spent an entire year, gutting issue two, while trying to say that the people didn't know what they were voting for. Um, all right, looks like Joey's on the line, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him over, add him to the stage. There he is. How's it going, Joey? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, Gerald. Good morning. How are you today?
Awesome, awesome. I'm blessed, man. I can't complain. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having us. How's my audio? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, yep, I can hear you. It might cut in a little out, in and out, but we got you pretty good.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
So,
So I gave you guys a little briefing of who we were talking to. This is Joey Ellwood, one of the founders of Appalachian Girls Cannabis, out of the Appalachia area here in Ohio, Athens. They are a small, group of scrappy folks, and they are now leading this charge on no on SB 56. And so, with no further ado, Joey, go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know what you want to know. What you want to know?
thank you, Gerald. My name's Joey Ellwood. I'm with Appalachian Girls Cannabis, and we are part of a large effort. I'm sitting on the committee for the referendum, whereby we need 248,000 and change valid signatures. With the effort underway, it'll be more, Gerald, like 400,000 based on, validity rates. But yeah, we are essentially trying to walk back what the government has bestowed upon us after 57% of Ohio voters in 2023 said that they wanted cannabis here in Ohio. I mean, let's face it, Ohioans have been using cannabis for a very, very long time. They're going to continue to use it. I like to use the old balloon squeeze, depending on what market you squeeze, the other one pops up. So we're certainly going to see a proliferation of black market cannabis here in Ohio. And if this referendum goes through, not that home growers, they have been growing some of the finest cannabis, but if we're trying to create a legal market, and the citizens spoke, we're not just talking about intoxicating hemp products that go away with Senate Bill 56, Gerald. I think that's one of the biggest misnomers with this referendum. We have intoxicating hemp products, that are out there. Of course, some regulated, some not, and we're pushing for regulation with those. But we have CBD tinctures, pet tinctures, topicals. All these stand to go away. We have licensed CBD processors, people that invested millions of dollars. We're talking about 6,000 businesses here in Ohio, thousands of Ohio jobs that are at stake, hardworking Ohioans. I want to point out that the February jobs report nationally is like at net negative 92,000 jobs or something astounding. And here in Ohio, Governor DeWine is going to knock out north of 6,000 jobs, again, with this situation. So I've said a lot there. We're here at Chillaxin and Waxin today, 8 to 5 in Tuscarawas County. And check out the location finder. We can post it in the link here thereafter too. Come on down and get your signatures. We do need 44 counties. We need 3% of the vote in those counties. And we have multiple petitions for all the counties. So check out that location finder. Um,
And where can that location finder? Is it no on SB56.com?
You got it, Gerald. There's north of 80 locations on there, and we're adding those too. There's been a groundswell of volunteers, and we hope to have an update on the numbers by Monday.
Okay.
Um, but yes, no on SB56.com. Thank you so much for having that prepared. You're on top of it, man.
Oh, I
And
just did it, man.
I just want to take a minute to thank you for all the efforts. You've been on the ground since day one with all this reporting out. There are very few others that have been kind of giving all the aspects and angles to the general public. God love them. There's a big education curve, and here in Ohio, we're 5 to 10 years behind what's going on with cannabinoids, minor cannabinoids benefits, and you've been on the ground pushing the information, the education. So thank you, man.
Yeah, I realized once we legalized, that was the biggest issue, right? Like you have people that have been on the legacy market for years, right? But oftentimes, those folks that are on the legacy market, the education, you don't realize that you have to catch other people up, right? I'm also not from Ohio, so I'm from a community that did pass uh, cannabis legalization earlier than Ohio. So I was already frustrated when we finally got medical and adult use. But also, I didn't have the finances to get involved in the legal industry. So I was like, what is the easiest way to get in without
That's
having to
right.
spend a ton of money? And it's media. It's news media, it's independent media. And also you realize a lot of the big news stations weren't going to cover cannabis or marijuana because they just weren't as familiar with it. So I just figured this would probably be the easiest way to go about this. So now when we talk about, obviously we went through this process, let people know, about App Girls Cannabis, let them know about Appalachia. I mean, I know a lot of people, myself included, I didn't know much about Appalachia or Athens, Ohio until I was recruited by Ohio University and spent 5 years in Athens and found out how beautiful and amazing the people were. So let people know just a little bit about App Girls Cannabis, you guys' motto, and what you guys have been able to do in your short time in this industry.
You bet. And I'll just share, I'm getting signatures as we speak.
Yeah,
So if
yep,
I
no problem.
have you filibuster a little bit as we go, but Appalachian Girls, we've been on the ground since the beginning. And 2022 is when we formed as a company. But a big piece of what we're trying to do is represent the misrepresented. A
Right.
lot of situations in rural America have had this, have been taken advantage of. DuPont with their issues, the coal miners. I could go on. The Sackler family and the pharmaceutical issues. Um, so yeah, we're here just trying to get signatures. And Gerald, if you want to go ahead and
Yeah.
speak for a little bit, I'm going to get this gentleman's signature.
Yep. And we appreciate everything that App Girls is doing. They've been one of the most vocal brands, I would say, since I've heard about them. And what we have to understand is that Ohio has been a hotbed for the pharmaceutical companies. Ohio was also um, Ohio also got a huge lawsuit settlement from the pharmaceutical companies, and so they've put that money into funds and resources, but a lot of our community members haven't seen it. Also, us on the cannabis side, we understand that cannabis has medicinal properties, it has healing properties. Obviously, we can't say certain terms, we can't say it cures things or anything like that, but people that have been consuming cannabis for decades, we cannabis has been around for thousands of years, and has been known as something that has those healing properties. And so what we have to understand as a community is that we have to continue to fight for this plant, right? We have to fight for ourselves, we have to fight for our community members. This is a civil rights issue, this is a class issue, this is a very much so political issue, right? And it's a business issue. When it comes to SB 56, they are now adding criminal penalties and fines to cannabis legalization, right? So you have people with medical cards, we have seniors, we have people with disabilities. And now with SB 56, it introduces the opportunity for discrimination, whether it's the police, whether it's jobs, whether it's landlords or healthcare facilities. And I don't think a lot of people really realize what's going to happen on March 20th if we don't get these signatures. A lot of people will not know what's going on. And so police will be able to discriminate against you. If you go across to Michigan and purchase cannabis legally, even though we know it's federally illegal, you're transporting cannabis between two legal states. And now, the police will be able to, if you cross state lines with cannabis from another state, that is now, fines and criminal penalties. Um, you have to travel with the cannabis in your trunk. If you don't have a trunk, it has to be in the rear of the car on the floor. There's no more public combustion, no more combustion in your car, even if you are at a standstill, even if you're parked. Um, Landlords can now discriminate against you for consuming in, a rental property. Excuse me, guys. Let me You have employers that can now discriminate against you and reintroduce drug testing policies. Healthcare facilities can deny you an organ transplant if you are a cannabis consumer. So this is going to open up the floodgates to a lot of discrimination in our communities, to the people who have, now been consuming
See,
cannabis legally for, um, 6 years now. Obviously, we've had issue 2 for a year, which is our adult use program. And so, again, there's not a lot of information being disseminated, whether it's from, the dispensaries, the cultivators, the processors, our state politicians. Shout out to Senator Bill DeMore. Like I said, you guys can go back and watch our previous interview that we did just about a week or two ago, where Senator Bill DeMore, he's been one of the biggest advocates at the State House for legalization. He's actually taken the time to do the research and listen to community members. And so I think it's important that we all engage. I know it can be exhausting and tiring. We see what's going on in the world. Obviously, we're in another war. But we also have to understand that it's important to understand and focus on what's going on at home, right? Where do you pay your taxes? Where do you lay your head down at night? Where are your children and your family members? You need to know what's happening at the state level, because these are things that impact us on a day-to-day basis, right? And so it's very important that we, stay engaged. Good morning. Good morning. So, again, go to know on sb56.com. There's a location finder on there, and they are collecting signatures. Joey just said we need upwards of 400,000, I think, signatures. I want to make sure I get all the information right. So when he hops back on, he's collecting signatures right now. He's in Tuscarawas County. And so again, you can go on know on sb56.com. There's a location finder on there. I'll actually pull it up so you guys can see what that looks like. And also, you have to make sure that you're registered to vote. So you want to make sure that you go to the state auditor's website and make sure that you're actually registered to vote, because you could sign the petition and it not be pushed through because you have not been registered to vote. And sometimes they kick people off of the registration. So it's important that we are constantly updating. I know a lot of people say, well, we voted for this, we voted for that. And people just think that's the end, right? And it's not. We live in a state that doesn't like marijuana or weed or Zaza or the ganja, right? Our state politicians, our governor, right? He has been vehemently against and opposed to cannabis legalization. And he has made multiple statements. Our state GOP, which we are run by the GOP right now, and they are the ones that, when you look at, again, we've been on the ground, right? I've showed you guys a lot of content over the last year. And we've showed you the things that they have said. They're still using a lot of the old prohibition tropes, war on drugs tropes, right? Oh, we want to protect our kids. The kids are going to the gas station and buying intoxicating hemp products. And the kids are doing this and the kids are doing that. Well, what about all the adults that are responsible, right? What about all of those parents who are responsible? What about all of those business owners that are responsible? What about the business owners that are creating economic development and workforce opportunities in our small and local communities that have been hammered by, big industry, right? Also, one thing I want to point out is Joey and his family are farmers, right? They're actual hemp farmers, and we'll have him talk about this when he gets on. But part of the issue is they have to outsource their hemp from other communities to be able to process it here. And so it's important that we really support our local farmers, right? We really support and educate our communities on some of the issues that are facing, our small businesses, our entrepreneurs, like Joey Ellwood and App Girls Cannabis. Again, Joey said earlier, Appalachia. I don't know how many people have ventured to Appalachia in Ohio. It's a very I didn't know much about Athens, right, in Appalachia until, I went to Ohio University where I was on a scholarship for football. And that's where I fell in love with weed. I had consumed cannabis before I got to college, but as a football player, you learn very early on that you need something to help mitigate and manage your pain, right? You deal with a lot of anxiety, you deal with a lot of pressures of society, and cannabis is one of those things that helps a lot of us uh, navigate that process. And so it's been for me, when you're playing at that level, you can't even talk about it, right? We couldn't even consume it. I was very much so leader in the community on that aspect. So I had to be very conscious and aware of my cannabis consumption. I was drug tested multiple times, and that could have ruined my career had I failed the drug test. So I've been on this side of things for a while. All right, we got Joey back. You back, Joey?
Yes, sir, I am. Apologize for that. We're
Oh,
just
no
trying to
need,
get
no
every
need.
signature we can here. I heard some of the background you made mention about, um, and yes, we are one of the few remaining hemp farmers left here in Ohio, and we're trying to get the word out that this is a little larger than the lines issue with like gas station weed. Like our family's trying to plant a crop. We're trying to figure out. I got three generations of my boys and my dad out there working on tractors, late at night trying to make sure we have our system ready to go, and we're not even sure how we're going to operate.
Hmm.
So um yeah, I just appreciate you pointing that out. Is there anything else? I know another thing I guess I had heard that I wanted to share with you too is like it's really funny how there's a very select few operators. The word oligopoly comes to mind here in Ohio, and we have so many people sitting in prison still for
Hmm.
crimes. You made mention about entry point into the cannabis space, like all the big guys, the lobbyists, they don't want to talk about the social equity
Hmm.
licenses that have just they've evaporated. The ability for people to get things going on has just been tough. And I see I've got some more signature getters coming here,
Hmm.
which is a healthy problem,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah, it's a
Gerald.
good thing.
But
This is what we want, and we're
yeah,
fine with
thank
the
you.
interruption.
Okay.
This is very much so, off the cuff, like I told you guys. So we appreciate Joey for, being willing to come on and share with us, because again, this is something that is important. And so, I reached out to Joey a while ago to get him on the show, and so we're grateful to finally have him on the show, so you guys can see one, how we are operating. And again, the reason I created Ohio Cannabis Report is because Ohio is a big state, right? And I'm in central Ohio, I'm in Columbus, which I'm, 10, 15 minutes away from the state house. So it's a little bit easier for me, to know what's going on at the ground level. I'm pretty busy myself. I'm a dad full time. My wife is an actual news anchor. So the stuff that I'm doing here is really just trying to expand and reach out to a broader audience, because again, a lot of times what happens at the city or at the state house doesn't reach people in some of these smaller towns and counties. I used to work for Verizon Wireless, so I know that a lot of our towns and counties still struggle with internet access and stuff like that. So I know it can be a challenge to get the information out, but it's important that we show each other that we're working even in these tough times of our political, domestic issues and our geopolitical issues. But when it comes to Ohio, the state of Ohio, we have to understand, if you live here, if you work here, and you play here, you need to understand what's going on at the state house, because this stuff impacts you. It impacts your children. It impacts your family. It impacts your job. And so this is why we've been on the ground just spreading this news and trying to get people aware of what's going on. Also, I know a lot of people will say, well, I don't like to be vocal about, what's going on, because somebody hit me up the other way. Like I got a federal government job. We have a lot of veterans and stuff like that. But now is the time, right? We see what's going on at the federal level. What is the law, right? What is the rule of law? If we can vote in, if over 57% of voters, over 2 million people in the state of Ohio can say, no, we want cannabis legalization. We want home grow. We want tier 3 craft grow. We want delivery. We want lounges. There's a lot of things in issue 2 that were never even implemented before they changed the law to what it's going to be on March 20th if we don't get these signatures. And so it's important. Make sure you share this out to your friends, your family, talk to people, right? Communicate, right? If you don't know, reach out, right? We're on Instagram. You can follow us, Ohio_cannabis_report on Instagram. We're on Facebook, Ohio Cannabis Report. You guys can follow Civics Cannabis on Instagram. They've been doing a lot of great work. There's a lobby day coming up. We also have an event coming up April 4th, the Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum that I'll be hosting in Columbus, Ohio. It's a free event. I just ask that you guys RSVP. We do accept donations. This is a volunteer effort. I do not get paid for doing all this work, but I'm passionate about cannabis. I'm passionate about cannabis community. I'm passionate about my growers. I'm not really a grower. So I want my growers to be able to grow free and be able to, I could give a little donation, right? And so again, all of this stuff is being rolled back. Being able to share your home grow will now be illegal, right? Being able to transport your home grow. If you don't transport it in a legal baggie from a dispensary, how do you transport your home grow when a lot of us are putting our home grow in mason jars, right? If you have these, this is now will be illegal March 20th to transport your cannabis because it's not in technically an original packaging coming from a dispensary. They also want to move all hemp products that they are going to sell into the dispensaries, right? And so a lot of the hemp shops are going to shut down, right? A lot of these head shops are going to shut down. A lot of these small businesses are going to have to shut down. Again, this is going to be economically disastrous for some of these small businesses who, like Joey Ellwood and Appalachian Girls Cannabis, have not only just invested their money, but their time, their blood, sweat, and tears. I see we got Josh in here. They've been traveling all across the state, all across the country, spreading the message and the good vibes of App Girls Cannabis, right? And we should be supporting these local companies. When you look at who's been running our cannabis industry so far, it is big businesses. It's companies like True Relieve. It's companies like, what's the other one? You have these big out-of-state multi-state operators, right? MSOs that are coming out and they're buying up dispensaries. They're buying up cultivation. They're buying up processors, and then they're implementing their lobbyists into our state politics, right? And so they don't care that the people are going to be forced to either be on the legacy market or have to come to their dispensaries. We also know that I've talked about this before as well. There was a lawsuit by the Attorney General against 9 MSOs for essentially creating a cartel because they are manipulating the market. They are saving shelf space for each other. They're partnering with each other as multi-state operators to keep the small Ohio brands off the shelves. They are partnering with each other, giving insider deals. So, hey, I'll scratch your back if you scratch my back. I'll give you a wholesale deal if you give us some sales and discounts and some shelf space in your dispensary, while also keeping this information away from smaller smaller cultivators, right? And so if a lot of people in Ohio have been complaining, well, the cannabis is too expensive, so I'll just go up to Michigan, right? And so part of that reason is because we have these multi-state operators here that are fixing the market. And so this is why us people that are Ohio citizens, you should be angry. And don't just be angry. There should be action behind your anger, right? Like, I've done therapy for a long time. And one thing that my therapist has told me is that anger is A-okay, but just make sure that you are processing your anger in the proper way, right? Be positive, right? There are positive things that you can do. If you're mad, don't be mad at us. Be mad at the governor. Be mad at, find out who your state senator is and who your state representative is and how they voted, right? Reach out to them. Email, call, text, find them on X, find them on Facebook, right? reach out to their aides. A lot of people don't know even how the politics works, right? You have to reach out to sometimes their aide, right? And all this information can be found online, right? Go to, the website and find out who your state representative is, who your state senator is, and email them. Because guess what? They work for us. It's not the other way around. We don't work for them. We pay their bills, right? If you work and you pay taxes, if you're a small business and you paying your taxes, these people work for you. They work for us. And so if they are passing laws and things that don't benefit us and our communities, we have a right. And a lot of people in Ohio say, oh, we'll just vote them out. We'll just vote them out. No, they should work for you right now, because a lot of these people are on terms. And so they are doing more damage while they are being in there. And this isn't the only bill, right? They're passing all sorts of bills right now, right? And legislation to go against, the people of Ohio. There's a freedom of speech bill that's being introduced at the State House right now that wants to attack our freedom of speech, right? So again, we have to understand our civil rights. And I know some people may not, that civil rights thing may only think it refers to Black and brown people, African Americans in the United States. But no, this applies to everybody, right? And so if you are poor, working class, we are having a lot of class issues, right? A lot of times we can have the Black, white, the LGBTQ. We have all these other little social issues. But right now, this is a class issue. This is the haves versus the have-nots. This is, I'm a multimillionaire and I can afford the high regulation prices of cannabis right now in Ohio versus multi-state operators versus, folks like Joey Ellwood and App Girls Cannabis and some of these other smaller brands. Let me see. G Moore and Joey E. Great people, great info. Thank y'all. Keep doing the Lord's work. You know it. Shout out to Josh. Josh is also on the App Girls Cannabis team. True hustler. He's also a grower. He's also an educator. He's down in Hawken Hills educating the next generation on cannabis cultivation and processing and all that stuff. So make sure you guys follow App Girls Cannabis as well. They're doing a lot of great work. If you've never had App Girls, shout out to them. We'll have to find where you guys can get App Girls before March 20th. Again, March 20th is right around the corner. It's March 7th. It's March 7th, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a couple. We're in the home stretch. So make sure, again, go to No on SB 56, find the location, and sign the petition. And again, this is just going to give us some breather room, right? If we are able to get this on the ballot to halt SB 56. Let's see. If you're leaving the dispensary and you went through the drive-through, is everyone supposed to pull over in the parking lot to put products in the trunk? I don't know. I guess. Right? I mean, that would be my thought process, or put it in the glove box or put it in, right? Because I mean, are the police going to be sitting outside the dispensaries and just waiting? Again, I'm assuming, the police. I mean, I've been up to Michigan a couple times. It's always a lot of state highway patrols right there when you crossing over that border. You know what I mean? So again, people have to be engaged. It's not enough to say, well, like you got people like Gerald and people like Joey and people like Josh and App Girls. They're doing all the work. I can only do so much. Joey and App Girls Cannabis can only do so much, right? We all have to be consistently engaged. We're no longer in COVID protocol. Get outside, right? Touch grass. Go talk to your community members. Go talk to your, now there's money funneling into the state or into the cities from the cannabis taxes, right? So what are our cities and towns planning to do with this funding, right? Coming from issue 2, right? Again, we need more education. We need more awareness. It's not good enough to be on Reddit and say, oh, you guys, don't know what you're talking about. Educate people, right? If you've been in cannabis and you know about terpenes, you know about the properties, the medicinal properties of cannabis, you know how to grow, right? You should be educating your community. It shouldn't just be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. No, educate folks, right? Use your knowledge to educate, right? Use your resource to educate and help community members. I'm hosting this social equity thing because, again, I don't know everything about weed, right? Like, I was one of the people, give me some weed, roll it up, and I'm gonna smoke it. As long as it's good bud, I don't care, right? But over the years, I've had to learn and educate and surround myself with other people who know about cannabis, right? I have to surround myself with growers who know how to actually grow, know the process, right? And so it's important that we are constantly trying to learn, grow, and evolve and get involved. You don't have to be in the industry to educate people. You don't have to be in the industry to, use your voice. You don't have to be a true lobbyist to go lobby at the state house, right? The state house is the people's house, people. It's literally called the people's house. You can walk in the state house, take a tour, walk around. You can record. If you're not familiar, follow the Rooster. He does great independent journalism at the state level, also at the city level and county level here in Columbus. But the people, right? And so I think it's important, that we really stay engaged. And I know it can be exhausting. I know it can be tiring. I know everybody's like, well, we voted for this, we voted for that, which, yes, you did. But voting is only one part of the political process, ladies and gentlemen. That's the initial part, right? As soon as you vote, and that law goes into effect, they start to change, right? So again, one thing that has been brought up, let me see, we got Joey back.
Here we go.
We can hear you, can't see you. There you go.
There you go.
What's
All
up, buddy?
right. Hey, okay, sorry about that. I got
No
little
problem.
Joey with me here today too. Say hi, buddy.
Little Joey, what's going on, buddy?
I
That's a
told
future.
him
That's
that
our
we're here.
future farmer right there, man. Like, no, he has to be engaged in the process. I'm the same way with my children. This is the children aren't the
That's
future. The
exactly
children
right.
are the present.
We have Joey helps out quite a bit on the farm, and he understands why we're here today getting signatures. He understands that the government's trying to take our plants away, that he sees so many people come to our house and say thank you, I don't have to be on gabapentin anymore because of your plants, or I don't have to take um sleeping stuff to go to sleep anymore. I can take
Right.
your stuff, huh, Joey? And go
Yeah,
play
that's
some
awesome.
basketball.
And I mean,
So
that's where the education part starts too, right? We need to stop fear mongering cannabis. No, we need to educate our children on health, wellness, farming, all of these aspects, right? Community, right? Supporting one another. I mean, that is an important lesson that, it seems like our adults in leadership are struggling to understand. They keep telling us about kids. I don't know how many of those 70, 80-year-old politicians still have kids. Like, most of their kids are grown.
absolutely. They there's not a lot of folks out there farming to begin with. They call it the rural brain drain. Everybody's parents said, "Hey, you need to go to college and go
Yeah.
off," and then nobody came back to the farm, but people forget where their food comes from, and
Right.
we need to have a relationship beyond just the supermarket. So yeah, we try to engage the kids and try to educate that people have been using this plant for thousands of years. They've been using it medicinally. There's the cannabis museum down in Athens, um, and it looks like we've got some more signers here coming up, Gerald, so
That's
that's a
good.
healthy problem.
That's good.
um,
That's what we like to hear.
yeah, bear with me here 1 second.
Yep, you got it. But again, I mean, this is important. And again, we have to understand, a lot of these politicians, they like to use words like, oh, we got to protect the children. A lot of these people are protecting Les Wexner right now and Jeffrey Epstein. They weren't protecting children, right? I know Ohio has one of the biggest human trafficking and sex trafficking issues in the state, right? I know we have one of the biggest drug issues in the state when it comes to fentanyl, when it comes to, a lot of these illicit drugs. But then they always want to label cannabis and marijuana and weed or the Zaza as the problem, right? And so again, why, right? There has been a decrease, obviously, with cannabis legalization, You have to release all the prisoners that have been locked up for minor cannabis offenses, right? Our state prisons want to use that free labor, that cheap labor, right, for whatever purpose, right? I know all the time I'm on the highways and sometimes I see folks that are, locked up cleaning the highways, right? They're not getting paid a lot of money to do that. And we see the amount of trash on the highways and in our communities, right? And so I think it's important, the cannabis legalization is here. Again, over 57% of voters voted for cannabis legalization with issue 2. More people voted for cannabis legalization than voted for the governor. So again, voting is only one part of the deal, right? We have to be engaged consistently. You have to know what's going on at the state level. Let me show you guys this real quick so you can see what no on SB 56 looks like. Also, if you're in the comments, if you're watching, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share this stream. Share it to your friend group, share it to social media, share it wherever you can so we can let people know where they can go sign the petition. Also, you want to make sure that you're registered. All right. So you have to make sure that you're registered to vote in order for your signature to be approved. And so we don't want anybody to sign the petition and they're not registered to vote. So please make sure you guys are registered to vote. And I'm going to show you guys the website real quick. Go ahead and take a drink, Joey. I'm going to show the people the website real quick and then let you catch your breath. I know you're working hard. All right, so here's no on SB 56. Here's the website, what the website looks like. And then, so for your location finder, if you want to find the location, again, just go to noonsb56.com, signing locations. And then here are the different locations. So here's Columbus, Puff Craze, Stelzer Road. It's right around the corner from me. You got Waterbeds and stuff, Morris Road. You got Waterbeds and stuff, Imperium Square, Columbus. Gahanna, Waterbeds and stuff, Indoor Gardens, Indianola Ave, Columbus. Now it's showing Columbus because I'm in Columbus, by the way. You have Smokehouse Plus, Columbus, Reliable on High, Columbus Botanical Depot in Clintonville, Waterbeds and stuff, Polaris Parkway, Waterbeds and stuff, Half Baked on High Street downtown. Now, again, you want to check these locations because obviously some of them are closed, but it shows you when they open. Jackie O's on 4th, downtown Columbus, Out of This World Flower Company, Frabus Ave. You got Waterbeds and stuff, Wonderlust Studios, 4th Street, Columbus. So we got a lot of Columbus locations. You got Powell Ale, Wine, and Spirits in Powell, Ohio. You have Magic Home Gardens in Canal Winchester. Waterbeds and stuff HQ in Grove City. We got Earthly Doodads, East Street, Hebron, Ohio. Hebron. Waterbeds and stuff, Newark. Groovy Glassware, Smoke and Vape, Newark, Ohio. We got Hippie Hut Smoke Shop, Lancaster. We got, and again, if I pronounce these wrong, I'm not a true Ohioan, you know what I mean? So y'all gotta bear with me. Lancaster, you got Hydro Gardens and Lights. You got TJ's Tobacco and Marion. You got Zanesville. Shout out to Zville. That's where my in-laws are from. My wife's from. You got Groovy Glassware, Smoke and Vape. We got Wine Rack in Zanesville. Gemini Eclectic Imperium, Zanesville. Putnam Tavern, Zanesville. Chillicothe, Waterbeds and stuff. Bud City Dispo, Chillicothe. The Joint, Yellow Springs. Tweedledees, Yellow Springs. Reclaim Alternative Lifestyle, Coshocton. Ashland Indoor
Little
Garden
more
Supply.
cooked, but I'm not.
Jackie O's Tap Room Production in
Just a
Athens.
little.
Dayton Cannabis Park Dispensary. That's Dayton, Ohio. So again, there's some place close to you where you can reach that. I'm sure we got Canton, Ohio, Westchester Township, Ohio, Superior Hydroponics, Lakes Beverage in Akron, Ohio. So again, go to No on SB 56. Go to the signing locations. Again, here's a map of all the different locations around the state. So again, if you're somewhere, there's some place that you can go. If you making that weekly trip or that monthly trip up to Michigan, make sure you stop over at Toledo Indoor Gardens. Right, sign that petition on your way there, on your way back. Take a group of people, or you can print out some petitions and get people to sign them yourselves. We got Lima, Ohio. We got Sharonville, Ohio. So there's some place close to everybody all over the state where you can sign. Okay.
Am I hot? Am I live, Jared?
Yeah, you're live. We can hear you.
I wanted to shout out to Maslin's location, Jade at Lotus Grove too. She's been putting in spade work, and patience. I appreciate patience as we had to make sync up some of the location sites and got her location on there. So be sure to know that you can go. I think it's like Tuesday through Friday, 3 to 8 in Maslin, downtown Maslin too. But um, yeah, there's a ton of shops you can go to, and they have multiple counties that you can sign for. So, and even if it's not your county, doesn't mean you can't go there. They'll
Yes.
have a petition for you.
As long as you are registered to vote in the state of Ohio and you're an Ohio citizen, you can sign these petitions, right?
Correct. And they can even help you get signed up to vote on the spot. It's very easy.
Awesome. Now, again, let us know again just what is no on SB 56. Why are we doing this? What is SB 56 for the people who been living under a rock in the
You
clouds?
bet. You bet. So I do want to say I am here taking signatures at Chillaxin and Waxin in Denison, Ohio today. That he's opened up his beautiful detailing shop for me, and we're out here getting signatures. So
Beautiful.
shout out to Justin Stutz. We'll be here till 5 p.m. today. And again, if you're just tuning in, SB 56 is a representation of government overreach at its finest. In 2023, Ohioans spoke, and politicians in Columbus hate the fact that we know what we wanted, and now they're trying to rewrite the cannabis laws, and take back things that we had in existence even before legalization in 2023. For example, paraphernalia. They're now trying to funnel all new and used items like glass pipes and things need to be coming from a DCC license. So these are Ohioans' rights that is absolutely absurd that they thought they could slip under the table and just basically at a midnight session, 11:30 at night, after everybody had decided on how this was going to go, they reversed it. A committee decided these rules. They had even a 5 milligram beverage included. They thought they were going to give us a little, a bone, if you will, which is absurd considering all the other non-intoxicating hemp products that are out there. That the federal government, in fact, is initiating, national initiatives. I just want to point out, Gerald, I know I'm talking a lot here, but
No, you're
this
fine. You're talking
this
great.
the Center for Medicaid Services has finalized rulings and the rules on uh, CBD for every Medicare age citizen, age 65 and older, to get $500 reimbursement on a national level. So Charlotte's Web, one of the big boys, if you will, in the CBD space, one of the first, great company, not going to knock them, but they're doing a pilot program with the government right now. And so here in Ohio, we're getting rid of these non intoxicating hemp products, but our federal government, for the first time in 50 years, is rescheduling cannabis and directing, every American age 65 or older to get $500 worth of these products. That seems upside down to me.
Yeah.
What are we doing here in Ohio? So,
Now, can you give
man,
the people a little bit of a breakdown too about, because obviously there's these terms that our politicians keep throwing out there, right? You have marijuana, you have intoxicating hemp. Just give us a brief educational, awareness around hemp, CBD,
sure.
and the entire thing.
I think you said it earlier too. The education curve. Some of us in the industry are just so prone to think and speak at a level that's just not folks aren't talking about it every day. And
Mhm.
I'm not going to give the politicians a lot of credit, but they have a lot of bills and things to deal with, and this is a deep topic. There's over 400 or 500 active compounds in the cannabis plant. There are many beneficial cannabinoids in the plant aside from CBD and THC. We know very little about a lot of those cannabinoids, but for example, CBG for gut health, CBN is a sleep aid. It's the sedative within the plant, and so you know, I find it very difficult to understand how Ohio's a track and trace state in the med rec space for THC, but all those minor cannabinoids like CBN and CBG that the people think they're being bougie, or they're figuring out their doses and going in there probably getting some success with it with a 10-to-1 or a 5-to-1 CBC THC ratio. None of those minor cannabinoids are from the same plant or this state. They're not from Ohio farmers. What is going on with that? They're coming from isolated manufacturers out in Colorado. Somehow we've overlooked the farmers here in the state to be able to agriculturally produce these. And it's just one of those things where Senate Bill 56 has, back to your question, intoxicating hemp versus what they're going after and what you see in the headlines. Most every one of the conferences or press conferences or articles that I've done during this referendum is the dirty little secret I was just sharing with Justin here at Chillaxin and Waxin is that they don't talk about it going away. The non-intoxicating hemp product. This point 0.4 amount of THC is not even an actual amount that a plant can be grown at maturity. It's like forcing nature to do things that it can't do, and farmers to buy equipment and have barriers to, they can't buy the equipment to be able to get down to a broad spectrum. In fact, the CBD processors here in Ohio that I've worked with since day one, law-abiding citizens that have never even stepped into a gray area, even to loophole, if you will, the intoxicant. They have to potentially shut down their businesses because people don't buy broad spectrum CBD. I mean, they will, but the conversion and the licenses, and then to find those markets, it's it's not really a thing. So I hope I'm answering your question on
Yeah,
that.
you do. No, that was perfect. Also, we have so obviously we have no SB 56. Do you have any thoughts or ideas about constitutional amendment in that whole process? Because I know some of the politicians have said, or I talked to Senator Bill DeMore about a week or two ago, and he basically said that even if we get this on the ballot and we push it through, that the politicians could change like one sentence in the bill, and we'd be right back here. And so the only real way to really protect us would be through a constitutional amendment. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that we're going to continue to keep punching in multiple paths to go forward with this. So I know that that is a potential risk, but putting the politicians on blast with the referendum and getting to this place is not somewhere they want to be. They're
Right.
already looking at language to change this. Um, and in the event that we get the signatures, I wouldn't be surprised that we see language come up prior to a vote in November or August, whenever that time comes,
Right.
because they want this to go away. It's too much noise for them. There are multiple lawsuits that have already been filed and that will be filed against the governor, local prosecutors, the state court system. I think there was a Supreme Court filing with Urban Artifact, Cycling Frog, 50 West Brewing. That went down yesterday.
Okay.
So we're watching history as it speaks, as it goes down. Gerald, which
All
side
right.
of the history books are you going to be on when we look back 20 years from now and realize, we all really could internet at that time, right? And we all
Mhm.
could do our own research. And we listened to these people who just fed us a line of crap. And it's like, remember that time cannabis was illegal, or they were trying to tell us that we couldn't grow it in our own yards? Man, that was crazy. It was really a weird time. I think that's sort of how we're going to look back, sort of like we look back on all these people that we blackballed in Appalachia for moonshining. And now we put brands out there, and it's just
Mhm.
it's bougie to go down and tour bourbon country, although that causes more deaths in America than that you could imagine compared to cannabis. I don't even know that there's a lot of cannabis related deaths. So
Yeah, from what I've heard, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of cannabis related deaths either. So,
exactly.
again, we appreciate all the work that you and your team are doing, and everybody that has volunteered. I know there's been a great group of folks that have, started to volunteer and been volunteering their time to, for the greater good, right? And I know a lot of people sometimes don't want to do anything if it's not a money thing attached to it, if there's not, personal recognition. But this is about the collective, right? This is about small businesses, small family owned businesses, our farmers. This is about patients, right? You have, medical cannabis patients. You have people that don't want to go to a
No
dispensary,
question.
but, they can go to, find a really good, CBD product or CBN product. You have people, again, paraphernalia, right? Where are you going to buy your papers? Where are you going to buy your glass, bongs at? Where are you going to buy these things? You have to go now to a dispensary, if SB 56 goes into law March 20th. So again, we have to be very conscious of what we're doing. We're making history every day. There's no more just sitting on the sidelines. There's no more I couldn't do anything, or I just didn't have the power. Like, there's something that you can do, right? You can share this live. You can write an email.
Absolutely.
You can hit your legislator or hit your legislator. There are tons of things that you can do that you can be a part of, this movement, right? You can join, you can, again, go to know on SB 56. You can reach out to Joey and his team and say, hey, how can I help? You can print out petitions and go walk the streets in your neighborhood, in your community, and get people to sign, right? There are a lot of different ways that we can be actively involved in the policy and politics of our state, right? Again, this is going to take money out of people's homes, out of communities, right? These are law-abiding citizens who are paying taxes, who are, creating jobs. And so again, SB 56 is looking to disrupt a lot of that with SB 56.
This
Got
is
something?
a this is beyond a cannabis issue too. I just want to reiterate, it's a consumer rights issue.
Mhm.
57% of Ohioans voted for this. So if it's not going to be cannabis, it could be property taxes or oil and gas or gee whiz, your school systems. What's
Yeah.
next, I guess, is I want Ohioans to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's our freedom of speech, right? Because there's a bill that was just introduced at the state house that is going against the freedom of speech of Ohioans. So there's a lot of things under attack right now at the state house that oftentimes, again, it can be cumbersome, right? It can feel like it's a lot. You got these dudes with suits, and you got lawyers, and you got big words. But at the end of the day, it's a civil rights issue, right? Like, having access to
Yep.
quality plant medicine, having access to jobs and opportunities. Again, this is going to hurt people who have jobs, and jobs are allowed to randomly drug test you again for marijuana. Police are able to, discriminate against you for having paraphernalia in the car. Healthcare providers can deny you organs transplants. Landlords can now discriminate against you. So there's going to be a lot of different issues, more than just, consuming the plant, growing the plant. Joey, can you point out anything too about hemp? Like, we often just talk about hemp and cannabis in the aspects of consuming it, but what about the industrial parts of
Sure.
hemp, right? Like the environmental aspects of hemp and cleaning the soil, cleaning the air. So these are some of the things that we
Great
don't talk
call
about with
outs.
hemp as well.
So hemp and cannabis, it's a bioremediator, meaning it will pull up heavy metal toxicants. It's used at Chernobyl to clean up the nuclear fallout. I just want to say too, agriculturally, hemp is cannabis, and it's not even. They're in the same plant family so much as so it's not like a cherry tree and an oak tree. It's more like a red oak and a white oak. They're strains, cultivars, like just depends on the cannabinoid makeup as it relates to that. But think sweet corn and field corn. Like people are so confused, but there are over 64,000 uses for hemp. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface as it relates to us re-emerging this back into our industry. But a big problem with it, Gerald, is that there's a lot of existing industry out there that don't want to see the pond, the bottom of the pond disturbed, because when it's muddied up, there's new opportunity, right?
Mhm.
And so these people have existing flywheels of industry that have made them lots of money, good or bad, for the general public for a very long time. And they don't see the need or interest in this. I mean, I think the world's foremost leading chemist from DuPont committed suicide like 2 weeks after the 1932 or whenever the cannabis hemp piece went in, because they were trying to replicate what hemp was doing for rope with nylon at that time. There were many, many adversaries of hemp, well beyond, just for the smoking in the pharmaceutical version. So,
Mhm. Yep. Awesome. And so I just pulled this up just to show the people some of the things that we can see via online. So if you're in Ohio, you can go to ohiosenate.gov. This is legislation on SB 56. This is the main guy, right? Like outside of the governor, Stephen Huffman was one of the ones really pushing SB 56. And so it also shows you these are the co-sponsors of SB 56. These are the senators. You have Andrew Brenner, you have Jerry Serino. And again, like Ellwood said, these people don't like to be put on blast. Also, they're coming up for re-election, a lot of these people. So it is essential that you know who these people are, who they're representing, if they're representing you or not, right? And so uh, here's Andrew Brenner, and he is District 19, right? And I think a lot of these places, a lot of these senators, their districts actually voted, for cannabis legalization, right? Again, over 57% of Ohioans voted for cannabis legalization and stuff.
absolutely, sir. It looks like I've got another um, group of folks coming up.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there, Joey. Do you have any last words that you want to say to the people?
No, I just want to say I genuinely appreciate your efforts too, and anybody else go on to know on sb56.com to check out the locations. Share this live, continue to spread the word, get to a signing location, and understand that this is beyond a cannabis or hemp issue. It's a consumer rights issue.
And
So
give us
thanks
a
so
shout
much,
out
Jared.
for App Girls Cannabis. Where can they find App Girls Cannabis? How can
So
they
we're
support?
Right now, we're in close to 300 locations in Ohio and contiguous states. I think Josh opened up a store in New York recently. You can check out our website on our location finder on there too. So thank you very much, man, for
Awesome.
that.
We appreciate you, Joey.
Take care, guys. Thank
Yep,
you.
later. So again, that's Joey Ellwood, one of the founders of App Girls Cannabis. He is also one of the folks on the ground and putting up money and resources for this referendum with no on SB 56. So again, make sure you support them. They are a local family-owned business. As you saw, his son was there. He has this entire family, like he says, three generations, of farmers, and they're one of the few hemp farmers left in the state. Because again, a lot of their products, I believe, has to come from outside of the state for them to use in their products. But obviously, it would be much more beneficial for them to grow their products here, use that product, and then help distribute it. So again, these are things that we have to work through as a state. So I think it's important that we follow folks and support people and companies like Joey Ellwood and App Girls Cannabis. Let me see. Man, I was getting $29 ounce from Cali. Yeah. So again, we have to again, everybody can go get their weed. You could grow your weed however you get it, but there are state laws, right? And at some point, it's not good enough to say, well, I don't do politics, or I don't like politics, politics is embedded in everything that we do. Politics is the North Star of America, right? Like it's the lawmaking, it's where the funding goes, where the resources go. So if you live in a community that lacks good roads, you're in a community that lacks quality health care, you're in a community that lacks quality jobs, access to jobs, you're in a community that is struggling with drugs and all these different things. This stuff is being controlled at the state level. The state then disseminates money and resources to private companies, to the city, to the county, and then the cities and counties, do what they do. Also, with SB 56, they took out part of the social equity funding, right? So we've seen that they've sent some money for the community fund. Again, we were supposed to get 36% of tax revenue from legal adult use sales was supposed to go to communities most harmed by the war on drugs, right? Which is typically your Black, brown communities, your African American communities, your urban communities, your rural communities, right? Your poor white communities. They took that money out. And so 36% of that tax revenue now goes to the GOP-led slush fund, the general fund, right? Where we've sold over $1 billion, I believe, in legal adult use cannabis. We sold over $4 billion almost in medical and recreational cannabis, right? Those funds, the legal adult use funds, 36% of that tax revenue was supposed to go into communities for education, roads, bridges, addiction services, workforce development, whatever communities deemed they wanted that money to go towards. But now, again, some of that money is going to the general fund, and then the state government can use it for whatever they want to use it for, right? So if they want to use it for more policing, they want to use it for more police equipment, they want to use it for more things to criminalize us, that's what they'll use it for. So this is why it's important. Contact your state representative, contact your state senators. I'll show you guys again this list just so you can see it for yourselves. And then I have to log off because I have to head up to Cincinnati. So shout out to anybody in Cincinnati. I'll be in Cincinnati doing a podcast with the Smoking Word podcast. Shout out to the homies over there in Cincinnati. So if anybody's in Cincinnati, you want to link up, I'll be creating some content as well. While I'm up there, I haven't been to the Natty in a while, so I'm looking forward to getting up there. All right, so yeah, here's what I wanted to show you guys. Share this tab. So again, these are the senators that co-sponsored SB 56, Senate Bill 56, right, to revise medical and adult use marijuana laws, levy marijuana taxes. Okay, so these are things that they amended from issue 2, things that they adopted. I'm not going to go over the entire bill. You guys can go there. And again, it looks confusing, but this is what we need to know. All right. So again, these are the senators: Jerry Serino, Bill Reineke, Michelle Reynolds, Tim Schaefer, Steve Wilson. And then these are the state representatives that co-sponsored. You got Sean Brennan, you got Darnell Brewer, you got Karen Brownlee, you got Jamie Callender, Sarah Fowler Arthur, you got Latanya M. Humphreys, you got Marilyn John, you got Jonathan Newman, Mike Odioso, Phil Plummer, Mark Segrist, Brian Stewart, Eric Seinenberg, Josh Williams, Bernard Willis, Tom Young. So see if these people represent you, right? If you're a cannabis consumer and these are your state senators and representatives, they voted against your interest. They voted against you, And so again, when people say, well, we voted, yes, you voted. And these people specifically said, we don't give a fuck. We don't care. That's what they said. And if you listen to them when they were going through the bills or the changes, they basically were saying anything but we don't give a fuck, right? They said, well, we know that you guys voted for this, but we don't think you guys knew what you were voting for. That's what they said. Brian Stewart said, we'd rather our children drink alcohol than consume cannabis. On the record. Like, you can go back, go to the Ohio channel. This is another resource too that you guys can use to see some of this work. And again, we've shared some of this work on our page. Again, I'm only a one-man show. I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man army on this media tip. We got Ohio Cannabis Live. And there's some other folks doing this type of work, but not truly focused on just this shit, right? And so I'm going to share this so you guys can see. This is ohiochannel.org. So even if you can't make it to if even if you can't make it to the state house, right? You can go on your phone, you can go on the computer, you can go to the library, ohiochannel.org, and you can literally watch everything that is happening at the Ohio State House when they are in session. Okay. You can also go back and replay the content that has been shared over, over the months, right? And so let me see if I can find. And so you can literally see, while they're in session. And it's important that we understand, like we have to be involved in our state level politics. Okay. It's not good enough to just say, "Oh, I voted. I'm done with it. I'm going by and live my life." And I know everybody, everybody's stressed. Everybody's depressed. Everybody coming out of COVID. Get out in the streets, man. Use your privilege. I know a lot of people don't think they got privilege all of a sudden. Everybody feels oppressed. You have some form of privilege. Get outside, right? Get offline. Go talk to your neighbors, right? Put together an event, right? I'm putting together the Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum, you know, and at the end of the day, it's literally just to support the community and have open dialogue and conversation within the community. And before I log off, I'll show you guys again the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum and panel discussion. It is free and open to the public. I do ask that you guys RSVP, and I'm planning on turning it into a series. Also, we are always looking for people, interesting people who want to share their stories on our platform. So please reach out to me via, our email at ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. If you would like to come on and share your cannabis story, we want to hear all stories, man. We have to end the stigma. We have to normalize, our humanity again, right? Like most people are consuming cannabis because they, are dealing with something, right? Obviously some of us, we use it recreationally, right? We just like to have fun, and it's all alternative to alcohol, right? But there are a lot of people that are looking for ways to make their lives better, right? They're trying to reduce pain. And so it's important that we support those people who, may have some of these ailments and illnesses, and cannabis is the only thing that truly helps them. So here is, you can go to Eventbrite, and just type in Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum. And so this is our panel that we have lined up for our first panel. I'm looking at turning this into a series. So this panel is going to be basically talking about, Appalachia. So we got two Appalachia folks, Sarah Koya and Ronnie. Ronnie's a veteran. He's also a home grower. Sarah Koya is an activist, home grower as well. And then we have Karen O'Keefe, who's a part of the Marijuana Policy Project. We have Tasha Roundtree out of the Dayton area. She focuses on harm reduction and she's a cannabis advocate, community advocate. Then we have Anthony Riley, who is a medical cannabis advocate, founder of Ohio Cannabis Live and the Ohio Cannabis Expo, who will also be having an expo here in the Hilliard area coming up. And so then we have me. I'm just the organizer. I don't really plan on being a part of the panel. I'll just kind of be introducing everybody. And then we have Bree Ebony Bates Hempress, who is a cannabis influencer and marketer. And she's also a podcast host with Ohio TV or Ohio Media. So again, this will just be a great opportunity just to connect with the community, right? Like-minded individuals. I'm sorry, I didn't share the. I didn't see the. I'm sorry. So here's what the page looks like. So Eventbrite, again, this is a free event. We are still looking for a few more community sponsors and social equity sponsors. We will promote you. We will put your logo on all of our ads and stuff. Yes, baby. Yeah. Okay. And so you just go right here, get your ticket. And then you could just general RSVP, community sponsor. If you want to sponsor, $50. We got a social equity sponsor, $250. And then we're also accepting donations. We appreciate anybody's support through a donation as well. This is also a nonprofit event. So a portion of the proceeds will go to Green Environmental Outreach, a veteran-run nonprofit and organization. So again, we thank you all for tuning in today. Make sure you guys go to knowonsb56.com. Make sure you share this live. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday, or what is Saturday. So peace, love, and blessings to everybody.